from the return on investment. Yeah, the Rural Online Initiative. Let's make sure that you're in that frame real quick.
Okay.
All right. This is a Aggie, a Logan High School guy. First in class at Berkeley.
No, not first in class.
Dang it! I've been telling that lie for how long?
It's fine. You thought it was
Just keep
true.
perpetuating it.
You
Well,
thought it was true. It's all right.
I've been accused of being able to like do more of like a grandiose approach to what people actually do, but I think they're full of hooey. But the reason that we're talking to you is that Accelerant is one of the only private companies in America that has been chosen to present an innovation engine for the National Science Foundation, and we just filed it.
Congratulations.
Thor, could you talk a little bit about your vision for the Seven County Infrastructure Coalition, how that could tie into Hurricane and everything else, and really what your motivation is from a temerity standpoint with the things that you're working on?
Absolutely. You know, I've been working with a lot of different government groups for quite a long time to do really innovative things. You can talk about Point of the Mountain, big plans for development there. The potential that they have to bring in new technologies and infrastructure that really enhance the state and make that an amazing place to live. Utah State with electrified transportation, University of Utah with wireless communications, and
And the graphene stuff they're doing with advanced composites too.
oh, absolutely. Yeah, that's another really, really big one. And an enabling technology for that would be nuclear power, which is a project that's being pioneered at Brigham Young University.
And in conjunction with University of Utah and Idaho labs as well.
Correct. Yeah, I think they're working with 7 national labs right now. So it's really significant, the technology that they're pioneering, things that labs across the country are working on that could really bring us very cheap power in the very, very near future. It's basically the fulfillment of Bill Gates' vision. It won't be his company first across the finish line, I don't think, but his vision of really cheap power and all the things that that can do are possible. Now, where's that happening? Emery County. Emery County is providing the real economic leadership to invest in the kind of growth that can be a home for things like nuclear power, nuclear medicine, salt research, which, again, very, very potentially large industry, but it needs very, very high levels of expertise in nuclear chemistry or in salt chemistry, which is extremely advanced. Even the companies that are working with these advanced salts for nuclear projects are coming to Utah to get help from BYU and from this company that's working with the 7 counties and working with Emery County to get help with that nuclear chemistry or with that salt chemistry. So I think what you're going to see is some really, really big industry growth. But to get to your question, really, what's the core of this? We've got to have more collaboration. We're not working together enough as government, industry, and education. Now we're talking about Accelerant, we're talking about aspirability, we're talking about Navajo Nation. You know, how do we get people who maybe they're transitioning from other jobs, maybe they've just been overlooked and underemployed for one reason or another. How do we get them into these good jobs? Because there's a demand for workers everywhere, but there's especially going to be a demand in Utah for these high-tech industries, whether it's data centers, computer programming, all these things that, you know, back again to what your comment, these advanced material composites, how do you manufacture those? You got to have high heat, okay? So as we bring all this stuff to Emery County, we're going to need people to go into those industries. We don't have the pioneering kind of leadership making that happen right now, so we have a lot of unemployed and underemployed people. This thing that Joel's talking about is the initiative to bring everybody together, the pieces together that just didn't have a reason to talk before. This engine could be what kicks that off.
Perfect segue to you. I don't know that Thor and I do, but I know that Paul doesn't. The work that you do with First Nation and the marginalized people that you're not treating as marginalized, you're treating them as empowerment. I mean, it's awesome.
Oh, absolutely. So I started First Nation sourcing in 2016. I actually started dreaming about it in 14, but 16 is when it really kind of started lifting. And I have a native bloodline, so I can see a lot of the problems from the inside out. And there's a lot of underutilized people and ideas that could really help all of Indian country take off. So these are all STEM jobs. Everything I'm working on is hemp related or cannabis related, and for building products as well as biofuels, those type of things. Got some really interesting batteries coming up. Just
The hemp battery?
oh yeah, hemp batteries, and putting out like 6 times graphene right now. So anyway, there's a lot coming with, of course, Utah State. They're the Aggies. Go Aggies, right? So anyway, my whole premise is to make sure that the nations knew how powerful they could be in this industry.
Even with all of your initiatives from a training and education standpoint, if you have a leg up with what ROI can do to get people into a positioned way of thinking so that you can do the advanced training with them, wouldn't that be a good collaboration?
Oh, absolutely, and we would like to see a lot more collaboration, internships. We want these kids excited. So
So I'm going to take this over to myself. I mean, I've never found a microphone I've been afraid of, but that's okay. We have organizations such as that work in critical infrastructure, since like the infrastructure masons. The average age of critical infrastructure workers is 57. It's my age. We're going to run out of people that are going to take care of data centers, but more importantly, build them and maintain them. So my challenge to you would be, as we develop these labs, we are going, can I talk about the JC with?
Absolutely.
Okay. We've been working on the JC Penny Building for about 4 years in Price. We had a couple of false starts, but we've always knew that we had this wonderful, voluminous size that was the destination on Main Street that we want to turn into that again. And we have, I mean, we're almost at capacity once we actually build this out, and it's all scientific and cool. I mean, this cat over here, Spencer Lovelace, wants to be able to start training people to be able to do more CTE stuff than he already has in place. There's the entire take on what has to be tied into the paralysis learning and highly scientific things. But these people that work from home are not going to have those skills unless they can get the fundamentals of what they're doing, and the reentry with mothers and stuff like that. There's just so many things that are crux to what you're so passionate about. And I don't know if she even knows what you've done the last 5 years that we've known each other, but I think you need to listen to what Paul has done, what he's built with his incredible team, and what they're going to be doing. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, in 2017, there was this idea that came out of rural, and it was basically, we have this high unemployment rate.
Paiute County, right?
Yeah, Paiute County, Commissioner Bushman, and really what he was looking at is he was hiring remote workers for his business, and it was like, why can't people in my community do this? So we did a needs assessment, found that so many people just didn't even know it was possible, and they'd been burned by some like pyramid scheme, and they didn't really have an interest in it. And so yeah, that's what we've been trying to do, is leverage the asset of the broadband capabilities that our leaders have invested in for so many years. They had the vision, and we're kind of living in the shade of that vision because so many other states don't have the infrastructure. And when you look at some of the studies that show, like with the internet and with all of the efficiencies that have come with technology, we're saving on average about 10 hours a week of like manual labor work. We don't have to go and like farm our own food and things like that, although that is very good activity to do. But we're saving all this time, and then what do we do with it? We can either be consumers of technology or creators of technology, and in a lot of cases there's a lot of consumption. So Netflix is like using up the time that we could be using, and so with that capacity. So the Rural Online Initiative started as an extension program at Utah State to connect people, and the idea was connect people in rural communities with remote jobs wherever they are, and really what we learned from our initial studies or interviews with the program participants is that it was very empowering. 76% of our participants are women. They're re-entering the workforce. They have dependent care responsibilities. There's limitations on what they can do. Some of them are just looking for a little bit of extra money to go on a vacation or pay for a kid's sports, and so they have the availability, the time, the capacity, so much talent, and so we've been able to connect them with those remote work opportunities, and really see them be empowered. And so I look at kids with limited opportunities in tribal nations, and we've been able to help them, especially with like translating services. They're able to transcribe and translate medical coding and different opportunities. But what the real opportunity in this last few years has been helping the employers who are in desperate need of talent on the Wasatch Front, this tight labor market. They're looking for diverse talent. They're looking for more women in the workforce, and just overall diversity. And we're able to connect them with employees throughout the country, not just here in Utah. So we're really this kind of connector, and we're just providing employers with an opportunity to get talent in rural areas, and people in rural Utah, and connecting them with jobs all over the country. So I just look at like the need that Emery County has. They're not going to be able to get that. It's going to be kind of an overnight success in 25 years with their workforce, their young people. We started robotics clubs in Emery County 2016, and they've just been continuing to grow, and that just takes time building that STEM talent pipeline. But if we can change the mindset, which we are it is changing, that hey, I can live here, I can get my education here, I could go get my education somewhere else, I can come back and provide for my family here, and I have this really awesome tech job locally or abroad. I mean, the possibilities are endless, and we're just scratching the surface. All the success we've had is just scratching the surface so far. But I'm really grateful for the legislators, the commissioners who are on the pulse of the needs of the community, and they connect the dots. And we're just program planners at USU, and really good at evaluation and communicating the impacts. And so the ideas come. It didn't come from me, but looking at it, I had a lot of the remote work experience already. It was just like, how do we operationalize these ideas and then start communicating those impacts that we make? And so the legislature's been just 100% behind us all the way, and then our administration at USU as well.
Noel's awesome. I think of the future, in 10 years, Thor and I are 10 days apart, and you're just a little bit younger than us. I'm 67 years old.
What?
I thought you said you were 57.
In 10
Oh,
years.
okay.
What's the future of caregiving going to be like? Are we going to be able to have more virtual care to be able to create more companionship for those that are getting into their silver years and stuff like that? These are things to me that are fascinating, because I've been a caregiver for my parents the last couple of years, and I'm thinking, how can I come up with something that helps them? And we're of the age where we all have lost or losing parents, and we have to do that. Is there something where you could see that some of your reentry moms and stuff like that would be able to be in like a therapeutic position with folks that are housebound and stuff like that?
Yeah, you look at people right now who are 67, and some of them are like really hip on technology, and then others are just way behind. But because of COVID and just the adoption of so many technologies that enable remote work and communication, we're looking at the future 67-year-olds like yourself are super tech savvy.
10 years.
Yeah, in 10 years. And you look at the number of patents. So one of the arguments for why remote work is going to stick, why it wasn't just a fad, is that the patents, the patent applications that for technology that enables remote work doubled in 2021, and it was just like, whoa. And so because it's happening, we're innovating more, and we're hyper focused on this space. And so I look at telepresence, I look at VR, I look at AR, all these headsets. I mean, you're going to be able to just some people don't communicate so much with their loved ones that are older, because it's like, well, you're limited to a smartphone. My grandma's 101, doesn't have a smartphone. I have to go visit her mostly, and she'll talk talk on the phone, but with telepresence, I'm going to be able to beam in her room and be there with her. And then you look at robots and things like that, and like, you know,
You need to talk to Dan Packer.
Dan. Okay.
Yeah, Dan's one of our innovation guys that's doing some great things. He's going forward. I've admired. Well, you and I've talked about this. The passion that you have. This is something you had a passion for before you had the opportunity. You were a computer science professor, and you went on to your PhD, and you saw a need to be able to help people in various marginalized communities, but particularly those that are in the small places that the freeways are forgotten.
Yeah.
You mind talking to us again, and as we
Totally.
get closer, what would you think if we were able to offer ROI a classroom with a public place where people could come and do calibrations in the J.C. Penney building when we get it done?
Oh yeah. We've already got people in that area, and so I love the idea of remote work in person, like remote work training in person. We piloted that in some with incarcerated populations, and so I mean that's something that's just around the corner. So we're ready for it.
Knuckles all the way around. Thor Roundy, Cindy Mon, Paul Hill, and yours truly. Out. Okay, I'm going to shut this one down, and we'll get some other help and we'll go forward.
Cool.
Coming to you live from the Accelerant, Aspirability, and Audicon Suite at Silicon Summit 22.
Nice meeting you both.
Yeah, nice meeting you.
I'm excited for all the stuff you guys are doing.
Oh my gosh, I need to talk to you.
Yeah.
Because everything I'm doing now, there's up to 25,000 different products. So I need product designers, I need software designers, I need mechanical engineers, I need electrical engineers.
Yeah.
Because it's hemp, it's agricultural, so people really don't want to work hard, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, that's our dean is like totally behind like all these new ag products and getting into wine, like wine grapes and all that. And just the profitability per acre is
I think we've got the people from Startup
and it's less
Commission coming
water.
back in.
So we're looking at like
in
how
about
can
10
we conserve
minutes.
water? What are products that producers
Does it
come up with?
look like we're
USU
getting
always
sound?
tries to
Yeah,
stay
we're
kind
getting
of like
sound.
one step ahead of the
Everything's
farmers,
working.
and sometimes we're not always good at that. But yeah, with hemp,
Let me show you where
that's
the-
cool.
Oh, we need to flip this. 'Cause it's
I did hear a statistic that
Instead of putting you on your left, you're on the right.
water
So it's going to
stays
switch to
as
that.
we're growing alfalfa, things like that.
And to feed,
I'm number one export.
I think
yeah,
Meg
That's
said she
great.
would do
shipping
that.
it out to China, we're feeding
Yeah.
our beef with it, and it's just like it's not the most efficient use
Mike,
Right.
you want this?
of our most limited resource. And that's never been an issue until like these terrible drought years. I'm like, why are we doing this? I don't know, I like steaks.
A lot of talk about the alfalfa, like you said, with the export and everything else. The hemp community, they're hoping that hemp produces a perfect protein, as well as omega oils that the hemp produces, right? So they're hoping that they can make cattle feed things like this, so that they can eat the seeds and still be
Yeah. That's one thing they're doing in Nebraska with corn. Is, I went out there and they're trying to figure out corn agriculture. Textiles. So it's just fascinating. They haven't quite like found their footing yet, but they want to grow like. They're here. They just have very limited.
Here, and then manufacturing. So
Where is
I think
everybody
that
that
into
out here?
the state. We're all here.
You guys will sit over there next year.
So it's going to be you, me, and
That's what they need. I mean, my in-laws, they have like a couple of wells.
John said we didn't
Very
read it.
limited. They want it. They're just trying to look at it. Get all that space.
School is
would love to meet somebody from experience in like a Thumbtack or Hold Advisor or Angie's List or something like that. Thumbtack's got an office here in Salt Lake, right? You know Thumbtack?
Yeah, no, but I didn't know they had an office here.
I think I saw a job post at some point recently. I could be the baby holder while you're in Salt Lake.
I don't think I'm
So maybe that's on there.
He's what the people want to see. Yeah.
I don't know if anyone's asking for me.
So now again, you two know each other prior college.
We lived in the same housing community in Provo years ago.
While you were in college?
While we were in college.
Like, so I met him freshman year. Was this after your freshman year?
After freshman
You
year.
lived on campus freshman year. Yeah, in Erickson.
Yeah, so this is at Liberty Square.
But hey,
And then I was
Square, I've
like
heard of Liberty Square.
running
That's
around.
got kind of interesting.
And then I would carry softball, and Phil one day was like, "Hey, why are you going to play soccer? You don't have to." I think it's on campus.
Played a lot of soccer.
you get tons of calls.
What
like,
years
oh,
were I have a question?
15, 16.
Yeah, sure.
Did you ever date? It's just friends.
We went on a double date. You went out with Josh. I went out with Ben.
You're that young? How young are you?
I'm 29.
You could get into me.
Yeah, he's just stressing it out because he gets all these calls and he's like, I don't know how to like advise people because
Our
like,
confidence
I've never
ages
grown
us.
up. So it's like, yeah, he's super religious dude.
Hey, what's up?
You know.
You coming in here? I just saw you guys. We're just waiting to be filmed. We don't know what's going on. Oh yeah. We got the Prospera update. Asked on it. Good. I liked it. Daddy's asking about the Prospera update. I didn't read it. He read it. I was trying to read it in the car on the way up here. I haven't read it.
Literally talked about it on the car right up there. I'm
I
like,
said,
do
have you
they
been
send
around
them
here
a
recently? He goes, yeah, I just came. So what? Give me the summary. What's the summary?
10 or no? I don't
Just
know.
bullet points. I just
don't
read
know.
the first paragraph so far. That's it. You're talking about September 2nd summary.
Probably the biggest thing to be.
We're here for the next segment whenever you guys. No. Oh, I thought you were helping run the segment.
Dad, come out here.
Okay, come out here.
Oh my goodness. Who could have guessed?
Well, it goes back. I mean, we're really seeing like the need to grow locally and foods and help with all of our.
Reduce the carbon footprint.
Yeah.
Irrigation.
Yeah, I mean, this is just this is a food
CEO of the
security,
company.
you know,
Come on in. Let's do
food
this.
resources like issue.
Let's do it. Siri, text Kelly Rowley.
At along here. Yeah,
Let me start a new session.
This has been fun. Where are you broadcasting to?
Instagram, Facebook, it'll be all over the place.
Do you have a card?
All right, coming to you live again from the Otacon Accelerant as well as Inspirability Suite. We have John Richards, his son Tyler, and what was your name again? I know you're the CEO of the company that was just founded. Okay, Phil, I'm going to learn a lot about you, but we're going to put you in the hot seat here. All right?
Hey, Joel, where can people watch this?
Right now, we're putting
Oh,
up on
hey.
a number of different streams.
Awesome, you made it.
Video on demand. We do have some links.
All right.
Sign up a company in 20 minutes.
We got both co-founders here.
But are you going to sit down on this thing?
Yeah, if you want me
Yes,
to.
Tyler.
I'd love you to. All right. Can I tell you about the Ultimate Fun Startup? When was it that I did that chat with you?
Oh, we
That led to this.
That led to this?
When you and I got in a chat war and we went through like 4 different things.
3 days ago?
Yes. So let's close that door so we can get rid of that. Paul, could you close the door, please? Thank you. All right.
Emotional for something. Okay, got it. Yeah.
We've had a bunch of collisions here, but you guys are the very fortunate I look like a rave. Where's my lollipop and stuff like that? You guys have very, very, very good taste and fortune in this father-son combo. Do you guys realize how
He said
Father said son.
You have good taste in his father-son combo. Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask a couple of questions that are very, very simple, and then I'm going to just turn this over to you to have a conversation for the next 15 minutes. Is that okay?
Very cool.
I'd like to ask the two of you first, because I know about these guys. Who you are, what you do, and what you need. Can you share that? Yeah, so who you are, what you do, and what you need. I'm going to give you like 15 seconds to think about that, okay?
He's first.
Does this need to be pass, or are we good? Just
Go ahead, Phil. Tell them who you are and what you do.
Hi, my name's Phil Kirkheiner. I'm flown in from Seattle, Washington today. I'm the CEO of Baton. We're a platform that lets home services companies refer to each other, buy and sell leads one to another. And what I need is, I can always use more love in my life. So the more love, the better.
Exciting.
He stole my answer. All right. I need more love from my CEO. My name is Cody Barber. I'm the COO of Baton Leads. I live in Saratoga Springs, Utah, so I'm here pretty close to this nice Silicon Slopes Summit. Slummit. Yes, it's a new word. It's in with the kids nowadays. What I need, that was all jokes. I don't know what I need. I need, more people that are just genuine, and I want to connect with people that just love to network and help each other out. So.
Great. Awesome, Cody. Good answer.
John, 3 questions for these 2 gentlemen that you haven't asked them.
Yeah, well, let me just again say who Tyler and I are. Tyler and I are run a boot camp called Startup Ignition for Entrepreneurs. These 2 are graduates of that boot camp. And also we run a venture fund, a pre-seed venture fund called Startup Ignition Ventures. And these 2, their company was one of our first investments from that fund. And they're being humble. Baton has created a technical platform that allows home services businesses, for instance, let's take pest control, and a pest control company in one area of the country or one even across the state or even across the city that doesn't cover a certain type of business in pest control, like beaver or raccoon removal, whatever, and they can help these companies share leads one with another when they don't handle that business geographically or by vertical. And so the genius of this platform is that they can create this transaction between 2 service providers, and they get a piece of the pie on both sides of the transaction, making that lead connection. And it's really exciting to see what Baton can do. Right now, they're focused on pest control with lots of other verticals to come. Since last year, their revenues have quintupled. And since we invested in them, they've tripled. And so we're super excited about their progress and what they're doing. And they're doing it very lean startup way, and figuring out their business model and not squandering capital and time, but being very efficient on both scores. And that's what they're doing. And a little story real quickly to finish. I met Phil when he was a freshman in college. And I noticed Phil was just a sharp individual. I noticed he was going somewhere. I didn't know what or how. And then a few years later, he mistakenly got into the accounting arena. So he majored in accounting. That's a mistake a lot of people make. But he came up and said, I have a new startup idea. And I said, whatever it is, I want to be part of it and help you, mentor you, whatever. And then the rest is history, I think, in that. And he's just a super sharp individual. And his co-founder, Cody, here, just as sharp, and they're a great team.
2 questions for you. What would you have rathered him majored in, John?
Probably I'd rather have him drop out and start a company so we'd be farther ahead.
And my second point, not question, is don't mistake humility for inexperience on interviews.
There you go. Exactly.
And for the son.
Oh, hi.
Thanks, John.
What am I answering?
You can ask a question. He
asked
me to ask a question. I'm just
okay.
telling more about them.
Yeah, no, I just want to give Baton a little bit of time here and kind of explain a little bit more about the home services industry that you're servicing. For those that are watching and viewing, kind of explain the ins and out of Baton and the industry that
How it works, maybe.
Yeah, how it even works, or what's the value? Why would someone come and be a client or participate on Baton?
Do you want to talk about how it works, and I'll talk about how we are focused right now?
Yeah, sure. So what Baton is basically it lets any company create a referral program and open it up to other companies to participate in. So companies sign up, they create their profile and say, I provide these services in this area, and I'm willing to pay other companies, X number of dollars every time they refer a customer to me. And this is really important because, one, the service company reputation is everything. So primarily it's really helpful to a company to be a resource for clients when they call, and instead of just saying, oh, sorry, we don't do that, good luck. They can be helpful to the client, say, oh, perfect, we know somebody, whatever they need, and then by participating in the referral program, get rewarded for, helping the client and generating business for another company and being able to get referrals back to their own business.
Cool.
So everything about it.
Question. Or Cody, finish what you were going to say, and then I'll ask a question.
So John kind of touched on it already, but we're focused mainly on the pest control and wildlife industries and going with referrals between those two industries. One thing that we have found as I've been doing this for 1.5 years, and Phil's been doing it for close to 3 years, is each industry within the home services umbrella is very intricate. There's so much to learn. Every day I'm learning something new about the pest control industry from the people that we work with. So as we look to scale into other industries within the home services umbrella, there's going to be a lot of learning as well. So right now we're focused on that pest and wildlife.
So I've got a question for you. Are you guys going to be so efficient that the transformation I saw of my nephew this summer when he went to Florida and Atlanta to do pest control, the summer program, is that going to be something that's not going to be as effective because of the efficiencies and the innovation that you've created?
That's a great question. So I think your question is related to your nephew who did door-to-door sales, correct? I think door-to-door will always be effective.
The origination.
Correct, because you're going to somebody's house, and if they open the door, you have a chance and opportunity right then and there. Most people are going to slam the door in your face, but you're still going to have opportunities in there. What we're doing is we're simply taking advantage of people calling into a company already and saying, to a company that can't provide the service that they're calling for, and saying, hey, let's instead pass the baton and send it to a company that can help you.
That's the appropriate name.
Exactly.
Can I have a conversation with him real quick?
Absolutely.
He's a nice guy to talk to.
And since it's being recorded, it's actually probably something that's going to be
Come on in here, Joel.
eventually. Ooh, let's get cozy. Wait a second.
We'll cut John out a little bit.
240 pounds of solidified cellulite at your service here, yes. So in 2016, I was an ambassador for the Eisenhower Fellows, and we had a number of different representatives and luminaries that came from different countries. And your son, as you learned the other day, as part of the other co-working and boot camps we looked at, and it was before you guys came up to Holodeck, made an impression on a guy named Nathan Savanathan, who is a very influential investor in Southeast Asia, Sri Lanka, and everything else. He had a bunch of questions for you. He was curious about the startup building. He was curious about the ability of topic-based education, where you can bring somebody to the next level. And as we talked about, and you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that conversation, yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy. We found out just a few months ago when he reached back out to me, because he's now very interested in shrimp and alternative building. He goes, do you know what I did with that conversation that I had with young Tyler and you? And he remembered his name. I said, no. He goes, have you noticed that we've had Hatch, and it's a new innovation center and co-working space and everything else? He's going, yeah. He goes, that's a direct result of the conversation that we had with Tyler and up at SLC office with Dan Baird and stuff like that.
Very cool.
It's a butterfly effect, Tyler, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a butterfly
Let me follow
effect.
up and ask these guys a question on that. So, for instance, these two came through a program like that boot camp where you can get intensive short-term education. I'd like them to comment, how much has lean startup and what you learned helped you in approaching this company? And, I mean, do you need to raise big dollars? And is that smart to do at the very beginning, or are you can you actually figure out a business model and get the kind of revenue growth you've done using lean methodology? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'll speak to that. 100%, we followed Lean Startup, and it made all the difference for us. I mean, when I first had the idea, I mean, when I was thinking about Baton and what to do with this, it was all about just one way I thought that I had nailed it in without ever talking to customers. And had I raised money with that in mind, the business would have failed. It just straight up. But we've tested that, and that vertical is not, that method of doing business isn't what made us successful now. And, you know, so what worked better for the business was first going to an industry conference. All I did was I had a T-shirt with Baton on the logo, and I just went around and told people I had a company and what I did to see if there was interest in it. And after I got customers bought in, then I went back and built a prototype based on what they said they wanted. And it's that whole methodology.
That's Lean Startup. Good
has
job.
been,
That's great.
It's been really, really helpful. We've saved a lot of money.
So do we have another entrepreneur group that's coming in with you right now too?
Another group coming in. Yep.
Okay, I don't like to use words like this because, you know, you're based in Provo, but is this an example of badassery? I think so.
Yeah.
So-
No, I think Phil and Cody are taking a lot of the right moves in building an early stage company. I mean, over the last year, again, these guys have quintupled their revenues year over year. So just congratulations to everything they're doing.
Their efficiency
Yeah.
is immense, and that means then when they start getting more capital come in, that efficiency will be applied, and that's how you get the hockey stick exponential growth curve. Is exactly what they're doing. It's exciting.
Awesome. Well, let's take a break before your next comes
Okay.
in, and then follow.
Thank you,
that.
guys.
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
We'll follow that up with who's the next
Next
group?
one is Cartograph.
Cartograph. We'll do Cartograph, and then we'll have a session with the group known as Aspirability, which is like the purple unicorns and stuff like that. Guys, thank you.
Yeah, we told them 1:40, so they should be here in about 5 minutes. All right, I'll just wait outside. So was the sound okay this morning?
The sound was not as good as in this now, but it was okay.
Thanks, guys.
Great. We'll see how it goes.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for doing this.
I want to know where to find us. I think I don't know, they're here, but you said 1:40. Do you want to?
No, get them in here.
Let's get it. Is there a link to the live stream? There is. Where can I find it?
What's in it for me?
$1.
You guys are on deck, okay? Aspirability, you're gonna have to have me too. Come on in, guys. Let's get you positioned here. Cartograph?
Yeah.
Does that have something to do with like, I don't know, maps?
You two sit in the middle, Tyler sit there, and I'll sit here.
So it's on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn.
Oh, wow.
So it's on,
It's kind of a big deal. It's like something like, I don't
definitely
know.
on LinkedIn and definitely on Facebook.
What is it?
Well, how do I find it on LinkedIn?
Page or
Joel McKay Smith.
what is it?
Okay, Smith.
3 Prophets, yes, my parents had that wonderful one.
I love it. I love it. I'm Bentley.
I'm Joel. I've got a nephew named Joel.
Spencer.
Nice to meet you, Spencer. How are you? Where are you guys from?
From here. Yeah, Utah Valley.
I need a specific location to know your DNA.
I'm Provo, North Provo.
I
actually grew up in.
Okay, good.
Bentley's the little brother of somebody that Tyler went to school with.
Oh, cool. I forgot to give you guys these. Do you want to go on in a little bit after Aspirability and talk about it?
Whatever you want to do.
Okay. Anne and
I'll just be up there.
Jacob, will you decompress with her? I think you need to learn what she does. Oh, also, Cindy, you know her, right? You know Tim.
Oh yeah, we're besties.
Go have a conversation before our next session, please.
How much time do I have?
It's all one running.
You got about 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Sorry.
But I want to start this earlier because it's going to get noisy out there.
Hi, Darren. I'm Tammy.
Do you want to sit here, Joel?
I'm nervous and I'm recently not as fat. So the best thing for me to do is just stand with you. But tell me a little bit that I can recite like I'm insightful about what you do.
Cartograph is we create accurate product delivery timelines for software companies.
Oh, cool.
So VPs of product will often buy, they're our buyer, and for them, what they're currently trying to do is they're trying to align the business around product delivery timelines. Right? They're trying to get the sales team and the CEO and the CFO.
So it's advanced step form GATS.
Yeah. And so what they're currently having to do is go to engineering and say, what do you think, guys? And then engineering says, maybe 3 months, maybe 6 months. And so what our software does is it goes and uses a data-backed solution. So we go into engineering data, pull it out, and say, what have they...
It's basically orchestrated sprints like we've done physically.
Essentially, so it lets engineering do what they do best and just build, and then it
Our partners, that's the first 3D printed pen on the face of the planet.
Wow, awesome.
Not that one in particular.
this specific
There's
one.
another one too. Yeah, these guys did it there in Price, Utah.
Awesome.
Okay, we ready?
That's using the isotrust isometric shape too for strength. Feel strong.
It is very strong, actually.
Oh yeah.
There's the math behind this isometric shaping, so that 1/12 the weight with the same strength.
Wow.
Did you send your wife the link?
Yeah.
Just about live.
She's probably watching us
She's
right
like,
now. Hey, Alexa.
shout out to Alexa.
I have the prettiest wife ever. Guys, have you ever seen my wife? She's so pretty.
Oh, dude, your wife's such a good cook.
Is that up? But your name seems familiar.
Well, it's because he's an axe murderer, dude.
He's very famous.
It's Halloween time.
And here we go.
Looks like we're going.
Oh, you're trying to
Was it printing them right now?
Yeah.
Oh.
Making
Oh, I didn't even realize.
I'm gonna go like this because it's more comfortable.
That's great.
And welcome to the 1:30 hour with the wonderful John and Tyler Richards, the father and son duo, which are doing great things with venture and like micro money. But we're going to get into these guys from Provo in Alabama. Who are you? What do you do? And what do you need?
Yeah, we're Cartograph, and we help plan, predict, and forecast product delivery timelines.
Awesome.
What do you need?
Yeah, what do you need?
What do we need?
Customers.
We need customers.
Yeah. More money?
Yeah, we need customers. Yeah, we've been on a great path so far. John and Tyler have been super supportive. We specifically help software companies better plan their product delivery, and this is super important because everything in the business relies on product delivery, from sales to financials to
How about
marketing.
your names, guys?
Right. So yeah. My name is Bentley Wilson. I'm the CEO. This is Spencer Jack.
Spencer, I'm the CRO here.
Yeah.
We co-founded Cartograph together about 3.5 years ago now.
Yeah.
So, what was your experience like with Startup Ignition? And you can be honest here. I mean, you don't need to pretend they're not here or anything. Did you have a different approach to thinking about what you're already doing?
Yeah, it's really interesting. So I met John a number of years ago now. It feels like I was about 20 years younger, but in startup years I was about 20 years younger. But yeah, I have a technical background. I had started to build products and thought, I can build this and then, I'll build it and then customers will show up. And I met John and Tyler, and Tyler had recently or maybe within a year had sold his company following these principles that they teach. And so it did completely change things for me as far as, really the market discovery of it, and let the market teach you instead of having to try to convince the market that they need something they may not. And then, I met Spencer, and then as part of our partnership, Spencer went through Startup Ignition as well, and it's been a game changer for us. We still have made some mistakes and had to learn tough lessons, but I'm convinced that, there's a high chance we wouldn't even exist anymore without the lessons we've learned from Startup Ignition. So, yeah, it's been a huge partnership for us, and we've been grateful for them.
Spencer, anything to add?
Yeah. So like Bentley said, I took Startup Ignition a little bit later, about 2 years later or so, after we met. So Bentley and I, we partnered together, and my background is in sales and marketing, especially in the e-commerce side. And so I was able to take Startup Ignition and really, start to get my feet into helping build a scalable, business with all this, upside to it, and all the upside that comes with tech, and being able to build out Bentley has been awesome.
I'm going to throw a wrench in this because I can. Spencer Lovelace, come on up here. Spencer Lovelace with Merit 3D, who's kind of redefining how manufacturing is done. You do product, primarily SaaS and that type of
Right.
thing.
Right.
So if you have someone that is disrupting a very old industry of injection molding,
Yeah.
and how you do the molds and then you go forward with it, is there a time in the future that what you do could migrate to the industry that it is? Do you want to share what you do?
Yeah, I'd love to. So we help companies. I mean, we love startup companies because injection molding is very costly. Many times has to be done in China. So we do mass production with 3D printers. So we help companies produce tens of thousands of parts very quickly with design agility, with not having to cut steel, with not having to go to China. and scale very quickly without the upfront cost. So it's fun to see that, you know, as a small business, many times we've invested in molds, and then you end up changing your design. The customer says, well, it'd be better if you could do this, and you're like, the still's cut, like, we're done, like, live with it.
Yeah.
And so
There a big iteration difference there? It's just
That's a great question. I think with John and Tyler in the room and the lean startup, thought process, I have to answer no, because we're not going to do everything under the sun. But that said, at scale, at a certain point, we've had so many people come to us and say, these principles can be applied to so many industries outside of just SaaS, right? And really, sometimes the way I explain it is we take financial forecasting and modeling, or at least similar concepts, and we apply them to SaaS, right? And so it's not far off that we could help with that kind of thing, but for now we're really focused on software.
kind of the methodology that you practice, John, is lean startup, but you do it with your own twist, and you have kind of like what Paul Ahlstrom's done with Vanilla Skillet. You have a model that you replicate, it works, and it goes forward. So I'm out of frame, but that's okay. I'm ugly and fat. The thing that I think about when we have conversations like this is Moleculera, General Genomics, and Curo 46. These are Oklahoma-based companies that are diverse and they're all over the place, but they've taken one solution and created another. These are guys from GE that used machine learning to be able to find out when there was failure of turbines and that type of thing. They realized that the algorithms could be put into the same type of utilization for analyzing tissue samples, because the parallel in the process worked well for that. And so there's where your lean startup gets to the point of viability, where you can think about not having to worry about recycling your product and your content and that type of thing. So the pens that you have in your hand were the first 3D printed new CE product.
Yeah, it's the first. We put a big post out there on social, and we're like, if anyone can show us a pen, just a simple pen that's made in the U.S., we'll give you $100. And we had 2 people respond, and their pens were just like old and ancient, and we're like, how old is your pen? Like 20, 30 years. We're like, this is awesome. Like, bring manufacturing back. We love it.
We agree on that.
Can I bring a point?
Yeah, let me share something about the lean startup process and what we do at Startup Ignition and Startup Ignition Ventures. A big issue with software companies like Cartograph, with 2 business-orientated founders, but even some tech chops in the founder Bentley, is at some point you're going to need a real chief technical officer, somebody who really has the chops to build a scalable system and make it work and put it all together. And it's interesting. One thing that we've gotten good at, and what this company is the poster child of, is actually helping to solve that tech issue for startups. So one of the things we're proud of in this relationship here is that these 2 co-founders have now found what we call a quasi-tech co-founder that can truly take them to the next level. And that's making all the difference in the world, and it's super exciting to see that happen. One of the greatest satisfactions Tyler and I have working with companies like this is that they have issues and problems and obstacles to overcome at this early stage, and once those obstacles are overcome, they can see a big inflection point happen, and that's what's exciting. Everybody needs to pay attention to Cartograph. I think Cartograph in the next few years will be one of the hottest B2B SaaS companies in Utah, and will be maybe one of the big name sponsors of the summit. We'll see how that goes, right? Yeah. And so, yeah, so we're all excited about that. So I love that you're drawing these parallels and what they can do and build off of it. So right now, they're building the foundation, the trunk of the tree. At some point, they'll be adding new products and product lines and expanding out, creating branches off of that. But one of the analogies we use a lot at the early stages is they got to focus on that trunk and make the roots stable, right? Yeah. So,
yes, that's coming from me.
Yeah.
But you have to have those.
Yeah.
Can I twist the knot here a little bit?
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you guys to step off, and I'd like to
Great.
have John Mott join us.
Okay,
And talk a little
thank
bit
you
too.
for the time today, and congratulations, Cartograph.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Johnny. All right, so we are going to have coming up somebody that has purple unicorns and teaches people how to think from a topic standpoint. And as they come forward and they close the door, drum roll, please, for John Mott. Tammy can come with us. It's fine. Get your butt up here, yeah. Because you recondition the mind, and there's going to be some things we can do with this too. We have John Mott and Derryberry. Get your butt up here, Jacob. You're not getting out of this. Come on. And Tammy.
Scoot over.
Yep, let's have Tammy with you here. There we go. Yep. And somebody's going to have to figure out how to make your stuff designed instead of the idiot ways I've approached your business for the last 20 years. I don't. If somebody could get one for you, I don't know if we have it in here. Are you on it? Okay. Yeah. I could use one as well. All right. Let me introduce first the man, the myth, the legend, John Mott, and I'd like to know who you are, what you do, and what you need, as if I did not know who you are, what you know, and what you need.
So Aspireability is a company we launched about 4 years ago to connect employers with education providers to make sure that schools are actually preparing people with the competencies that employers need. And that often leads to working directly with the employers themselves to first help them figure out what they need, because as everybody knows, job descriptions are a mess. So what we do is we act as a market maker in that space between job seekers, education providers, and employers.
Tammy, how long have we known each other, and how many things about me do they not ever want to know?
A lot. We've known each other for over 40 years. Yeah, that's okay.
Wow.
It's been a long time. And it's in office. I am Tamara Tanner Clegg, and I run a nonprofit and a therapeutic horseback riding center called Hoofbeats to Healing. And we use a really rare kind of horse that patterns the brain different. We are doing research with BYU, and we are seeing that our horses are 300 and 600 times more effective to the brain, which means a normal horse patterns you like you're walking, and our horses pattern you like you're crawling.
Huh.
Like, have you guys ever been so mad you want to stay there? And you go to sleep and you reboot?
Yep.
Well, how many kids or adults with autism or other abnormalities struggle with that? They never reset. So our horses, what we're trying to prove, because we've seen it experientially, is when you ride these horses, they pattern you to reset.
That's awesome.
And they're really rare.
I love you.
I love you. He's like my brother. Well, he is my brother.
Well, there's things that you guys will
never know.
And they're very.
Hello, sir. You got the spiel from John just a second ago. I'm going to address the what do we need part right now, which is we are looking for employers who would be interested in bringing their job opportunities to us so that we can map them and using our method of turning job descriptions into competency maps. And this will enable us to bring those job opportunities to lots of job seekers who you might not otherwise be able to get the attention of. For example, we have a couple of big projects coming up, with one with Navajo Nation and the other with the Ute Mountain Utes, and we would very much love to get employers who would be interested in offering remote jobs to those people.
We're talking about a population that has 3,000 people that graduate from high school every year that battle for 150 jobs. They have no choice to either become an alcoholic or whatever else or worse, or leave the reservation. And a lot of these people are really, really, really skilled. So a call out to all of you, come on. It's not that hard to make a commitment. I've done it, and I'm going to deliver on it to be able to help out this absolutely marginalized community that needs our help. Get it?
Yep. And then we also, there's also a huge demand for members of the Navajo tribe who've left the reservation. About half of Navajos live off the reservation, and a large percentage of them would like to move back home if there were jobs. So, and right now, the tribe is spending hundreds of millions to light up the reservation with fiber. So there will be broadband. People have the opportunity to learn at home, work from home. Now we need the job opportunities.
Awesome. Not only are you an incredible UX designer, a carpenter, but
It's true. You heard it. Yeah, so my name's Jacob. I work with John and Ann at Aspireability doing the user experience product design side of things. And we've got the how, or the what we're doing, we've got the what we need. Just want to highlight a little bit of some of what we're trying to tackle in the process. You know, that the job marketplace is changing a lot right now in terms of what is required to do a job. It's not so much degree based anymore, and we'd like to keep it moving that way if we can. And one key point of what we're doing is really highlighting not you need to go to school in every case, but what you need to actually be able to do to perform in a job and advance in your career, and give people the light at the end of the tunnel to reach for, so they have direction in their careers. So, back to you, Joel.
I'm just trying to do the authenticator that Microsoft has. I'm so close to this one because I actually serve a hat with this organization, and I'm
hat.
Yes, and look at that greasy head. The amazing things that have come out of Mottshire, which is an old barn that these guys have turned into the coolest ever, corporate headquarters, is amazing because it echoes some of the things that we've wanted to do for quite some time with Accelerant, which is to have the ability to actually indicate what people need to learn to be viable in the workforce. And I'm happy to say that we're doing that. I mean, I can see the roadmap of where we have something that's scalable, that mixes between services of consulting and the ability to translate that truly into something. So imagine if you needed to be able to train someone how to be able to take care of the bridles and how to be able to take your scientific equipment and stuff for doing that, but being able to make sure that they could actually do it versus, farming it in. I mean, it's absolutely awesome. I'm going to ask some temerity questions here. I'll be 10 years old in 60. That's kind of funny. In 10 years, I'll be 67 years old. What are each of you doing? I know what you'll answer. That's going to make my life better in 10 years. Start with you.
So I addressed it a little bit, but what we're doing doesn't just show how to get into an entry-level job at a young age. You can really find a path to any type of job at any point in your career, whether you're advancing, you're shifting careers, you have left the workforce and want to get back in. What we're trying to remove the bias from the hiring process, be it demographic or gender or age or a variety of other things, and we do that by addressing the skills and the competency specifically, not where you come from and how you were brought up, but what you can actually do. And beyond just telling you what you need to do, we want to show you how to get those pieces of the puzzle that you don't yet have to fulfill your role and move forward with the career you want.
And you're a smidgen older, but taking into consideration the
How would you know that?
from the temerity standpoint, I mean, what you're doing now, how does it affect people in 10 years?
Well, I think that we have an opportunity to make some real differences. I think we have an opportunity to shake up the job marketplace and turn it into something that works better for all parties. I think we have an opportunity to help education institutions understand what the job marketplace looks like better than they understand that today, and to organize and design their programs so that they better meet the needs of employers and of the people who are engaging in the programs with them as learners. I think we have the education to make some real differences in the lives of people who are finding a really tough time finding jobs that meet their skills at the place where they are, but also that give them the opportunities to grow in a career path that corresponds with what their interest levels are. We are going to touch lives in some very big and important ways, and I'm really very excited about what we're doing and where we're headed. That alone, Jill, I think is going to better your life and everybody else's.
I mean, I don't want to be morbid, but I'm very worried from a overall standpoint what's going on. I want to be around in 10 years, and maybe there's something we can do together to help those people live and be a more responsible citizen and have a certification in
And if we can help people with their personal empowerment and with their view of themselves in positive ways, that's going to go a long way in helping the world heal.
One of there's so much divisiveness in not just our country but globally, and a lot of that comes from people feeling disaffected, left behind by society, the prosperity that they see other people enjoying, but they don't know how to grasp.
And they're mostly blocked.
And they're blocked. There are. I mean, I love what you're doing from a therapeutic standpoint, because sometimes you're not even ready to start working on a career path.
You're traumatized.
Yeah, but once you are, like Ann and Jacob have said, the whole name of aspirability. There are just too many people who are left behind, and they don't know how to aspire. That they're like, oh, this is the job I have. I'm 30. I guess I'll do that the rest of my life. We can do better than that. We got to give people pathways to prosperity and a more fulfilled life. To your point, Joel, that's how you get a more harmonious, cohesive society, right?
Well, and that's what we're doing. So with the horses, our specialty is trauma. Ritual abuse, can I say that on the air?
Sure.
I mean, trauma is trauma.
Sure.
And when you have trauma, the amygdala part of your brain, the fight, flight, or freeze, is so activated that when you ask somebody to do something and they're reactive, you just can't talk them down. You've got to completely redo the brain, and that's what the research we're doing with the kind of horses we use. And the last research project, we got 2 asterisks, which means we're 99.03% provable, but I'm still gagged until we get more research done to figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
I'm privy to the same NDA. This is another collision of something that Joel's involved with too many things.
Yeah.
Joel's been involved with this for a long time, but we're getting some headway, and part of our needs is a research facility. We finally found one in Bluffdale that we're trying to secure that would work really, really well.
Did you get it?
We're working on it.
So much more practical than the grant.
We could serve so many people there and get the research done to quantify what is going on. Because if you take somebody that blows up in the workplace and they just leave and they're done, you can't talk them down. But if you seriously come put them on a horse, and that horse resets the brain for them, these kind of horses, which are a very small percentage of the horse population, within minutes, they become more aware, more self-aware,
So
and
in
more
10
reactional.
years, where are you at with your company for you and you? Then we're going to be bringing on TED Talk with Bob, Don, Thor, and David. This is going to be a nice collision. What are you going to be doing in 10 years?
We will have the research done, a machine made that captures the horse. We'll never capture everything, but facilities all over. We're looking at 5 facilities in Utah right now to build, because people need us.
And you, buddy?
We'll have a job marketplace that anyone can participate in to have objective, transparent, actionable pathways to better careers.
Awesome.
All right, folks. Aspirability and Tammy. All right, let's reach out. We'll have you guys go right through the middle of there. We're going to bring in Hydronesis Aquatics. We're going to bring in Smart Mom Gigs, and we're going to bring in a couple of super angel mentor individuals, TED Talk, and the true superhero, Thor. Come on in.
So Ted and Thor, I want you in the second seats in. We'll put Don in the middle. We'll put Bob on the outside. We'll put David on the outside. You're in the middle.
Okay. Where do you want me and Thor?
I want you here and Thor there. I want David on the outside edge. Yep, there you go.
Like so?
Oh, you're taking the mirror off.
Where's the camera coming from? She said something about seeing you last night. I'm like, and I got 30 seconds per minute. That's fun. Because I know I didn't see her last night. I saw you last night. I'm like, wait, have I completely forgotten what you look like?
And while our amazing IT organizational cat wrangler, Megan, is trying to get us out of mirror image, I think that we're going to have to go into it. Let's just go ahead and get it on up. Do we have a new one ready to go? Thank you to the wonderful magic of Microsoft Teams. I am convinced it's a pretty good platform. All right, let's go ahead and start with the media. Are we up? And
What is our theme that we're going to be discussing?
whatever I tell you.
To be announced. To be announced and to be determined.
It's nice to know what the azimuth is, Joel.
Well, we're talking.
It could be anything.
Oh, okay. All right. We're gonna play along.
Let's start in the middle with Dawn Willett, who comes from the media business, and she saw during the pandemic that she had no other choice but to create a mechanism to take women out of the unemployable angst of stay-at-home mom, no way to re-enter, and everything else. Could you answer the famous 3 questions for us? Who you are, what you do, and what you need.
Absolutely. So thank you, Joel, for the opportunity. I'm Dawn Willett, and I'm here for smartmomgig.com. And thank you, everyone. Thank you for supporting us. So we are a company that is meeting women where they're at, and we are offering them work from home on their schedule. So it's the gig economy, and it works really well for employers because they're able to save 71 cents on every dollar by not having to use the overhead or have all of that overhead. And it really is a way to get moms back.
9% of startups fail because they run out of cash, and 26% of startups fail because they don't have the right team. So it's clear that these entrepreneurs are putting together the right team. It sounds like they've nailed product market fit for their entry into the market. And now the key thing is just making sure that they can continue to get the right capital at the right time from the right partners to continue to scale in a way that you can maintain the cap table in an ownership position that belongs to you and to not to your financial capital providers. And the financial capital markets are full of cash right now, but each time that somebody like ourselves in Park City Angels invests, we want to make sure we understand that you understand what your milestones are, and we're willing to put in the money for that milestone, and we're kind of partners in the venture with you, where we identify what the KPIs are, key performance indicators are, for continuing to prove, two of those three things, right? Keep nailing product market fit, keep building the team, and then tell us when you need some more cash to hit the next set of product market fit and team-based milestones. So that's my perspective, and have been enjoying my partnership with Joel and Thor and some of the folks at Accelerant since about 2015, and I look forward to continuing that partnership and looking at these opportunities for investment through the Park City Angels. Thor, what do you have cooking?
Well, I get to see Joel all the time because it seems like he's always introducing me to another project and another potential partner on things. But it's good to see you, Ted. And I think Ted's a little bit modest in terms of just what he's bringing to the table here. It's a lot more than just the three things he mentioned that are really some of the critical things for new companies. There's a lot that goes into running a company successfully and profitably. And he's, I think, with Park City Angels and Panda Labs in particular, created some really good business models and strategies to make sure that every aspect of the company is running properly, so that there's not one thing that brings the company down or restricts it from making progress. So all those fundamentals are really, really important, and it's good to see you again because you remind me of a lot of those fundamentals. In any event, said another way, money, manpower, and government regulation. Now the last one doesn't apply to everybody's business, but for the kind of technology that you guys are in, that's really important. So it can take time, it can take money, it can represent a real barrier, especially when you're innovating, either introducing new processes or new technologies that raise new questions that the government hasn't dealt with before. That can be a really, really important challenge. And so, as Ted said, if you've got the right team, you've got an approach to address that. But it's not to take the holistic approach. Look at the big picture, not just in your business, but in the world, and say, you know, let's bring more equity back to what's going on as well. Let's think about these overlooked resources, especially the people resources. Again, we got to have agreements, and we got to put money behind it, because we're not going to be successful at changing the world if we don't have the time, or I'm sorry, the manpower and the money to go after those kind of objectives. And if that stuff's not important to you, then I don't really know how you can change the world. But with Joel, I know it's important, so that's why I've stuck with him.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So, we've just sent in our profile. We just launched our offering. Hydrogenesis Aquatics just launched our offering. We just sent in our profile to Park City Angels. So, you make some good points. What I'm wondering you could share with us is, before you have that that confidence that the partners, as you say, are going to deliver what we agreed to deliver, what's your process for vetting that investment before you say, all right, we're going to sign agreements and take a chance?
Yep. So
either of you.
Ted's the Park City Angel.
Yeah. So Joel just said the 6 T's. I usually talk about the 5 T's, and these are the 5 T's that have been discussed over and over again at venturecapital.org, another one of our colleagues and partners. And the 5 T's, for me, it starts with T is for team. And we've already touched on the importance of team, so I won't keep talking about that. But the second thing is the technology, right? And in the case of a disruptive technology, we're very interested in how much of the technology platform has been built out and what is the moat that you're building around that technology platform to ensure that you can protect your intellectual property, right? So that's the technology. If you've got the team and the technology moving in the right direction, the third T comes down to traction. And again, you know, I started my last conversation with product market fit. You've got to prove that there's buyers for your technology, as you all proved at SeaWorld, and as you've proved with the many, you know, stay-at-home moms and you know, women that don't want to work 40 hours in the office but can maybe work up to 40 hours from their home. So you've got that traction. And then it comes down to a little bit of what my colleague Thor talked about, right? Terms and 10x potential, right? Yep. And so total addressable market, I like to say, it is kind of 10x potential, right? So if the market is big enough and you're executing fast enough, then you can potentially return 10x to the risk-taking investors that come in at pre-seed, seed, and Series A, right? But we've seen recently that, you know, before we got into this shifting economy, entrepreneurs really thought they were worth more than maybe they were worth. And that's why terms is so important, right? We've got to make sure that, you know, risk is being shared between the entrepreneur and their team and the investors. And it's finding that right balance of shared risk, which is written up in the term sheet by guys like Thor, right?
No, we added a 6T, temerity, and which to us, you know, this was Andy Jorgensen and Max Goff and Nick Bagley. We came up with this idea. We ought to add one more. We want to look for stuff that's really disruptive. You know, so again, the kind of stuff that you guys are doing, changing the world kind of stuff. That's what's more interesting to us. So we have that. But back to your question, you know, these guys fit. I mean, number one, I would look at, are they from venture capital group that wants, they got a plan for your technology and what they can do with it, or is it a team that's coming in with the capital? Write up those terms.
David, Thor, Don, Ted, and Bob, a big hand, please. And a big hand for 7X. And Stellar. I mean, this is amazing. This is a.
And don't forget a hand for Joel.
It's all good.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm back to work, so.
Talk later? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. I think they got it off. You are? What the hell am I yeah. All right, over again. Has this been okay? I mean, for something that's been completely chaotic and crazy and everything else, it's also been, it's been really insightful. And so let's do it. Lance Ellsworth, Spencer Lovelace, 3 other guys whose names I should know. Come on down. Take your seat. All right. Those that are not accustomed to the format of hanging out with me, what it is a very simple deal. You've been there. Who you are, what you do, what you need, and then we'll continue the 15 minutes based upon those different things. I'm looking at this group. We have a whole lot of different. So I've had the opportunity to work with Lance Ellsworth for almost 10 years, if not longer.
It's probably longer, but yeah. I was trying to think.
He always hits me up with these crazy ideas that become huge things. So I last platform. One we're looking for, actually, nonprofit.
Cluster members, but that's what you have.
Always looking for great clients that I can utilize my unique skills to kind of help them navigate those challenging things that come up from a tax perspective. I'd like to introduce my friend Jonathan.
Jonathan Bench. I'm the other half of the coin to Mike. So I'm a practice.
Everyone's going to want it. This is, so we have the ability to mass produce 3D printed parts. Well, this is a cool tech that's being developed. It's still in beta, but it's getting close. So if you picture someone breaks their arm, a kid breaks their arm, they go to the doctor and they get a cast, and this cast around their arm, have the ability to mass So there was a science that came out of people. Anyway, they developed a bacteria will kill pretty much any form of both gram-negative and gram-positive. So right, hard to, but countries. Draco tube is really the first.
Technical officer, Dr. was.
Or Marianne?
Marianne.
Okay.
I always say both, so if I could do that.
It's kind of kinky, man. Spencer? Okay. You?
Marianne.
Okay, awesome.
My wife's name is Marianne, so I always.
Oh, yeah. It's like a Boston song. So I challenge you tomorrow to find somebody that will come sit in the seat with you that will create a collision of thought that typically doesn't occur. Okay? Rock on.
Excellent.
Thank you. Next up, we've got Dan Baird, we've got Brad Barg, we've got the amazing Patrick Connolly, as well as Mr. Joshua Trent. So, big hand. Right, and after if you hang out outside, you gotta find out that you're not gonna have to deal with it. All right. I don't know. Talk about that product a little bit.
Yes. Love. Used to do new product innovation for ConAgra, and they used to give us really fun tasks like, Dan, hey, go figure out how to make people want to eat healthy food. So I got to go and sit in people's kitchens and look behind a lot of one-way glass and do a lot of stuff like that, trying to figure out how to get people to want to do stuff. Turns out people want to eat healthy food if it tastes good. So frozen Greek yogurt.
So remember this. You guys are going to talk about archery. All right. You've been in every form of internet sales.
Yes.
And you understand the optimization of how people think. I mean, explain the last 10, 15, 20 years of how you've evolved with this. I mean, it's just wild.
Well, I think, in the early days, if you have actual
he could tell, like right away. And his big thing was, well,